Well, good evening, everybody, and happy New Year to you. Was not expecting this large a crowd, but very pleased that you're all here tonight. And for those of you that are watching on TV, again, Happy New Year to you as well. This is Tuesday, January 7th, and we'll start our meeting by introducing you to your City Council.
Council members Aguilar. Here. Anderson. Here. Entenmann. Erpenbach. Here. Jamison. Here. Karski. Here. Rolfing. Here. Staggers.
Present.
Thank you very much. We're very blessed to have Reed DeVries back. He is here quite often leading us in prayer, giving us great invocations, and so welcome back. Happy New Year. He is the adult ministry team leader at Celebrate Church, one of the largest churches in South Dakota. And so we're certainly pleased to have Reed here again tonight. What we'd ask you to do is to stand for the invocation and then remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. Reed, welcome.
Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for many gifts, and especially the gift of newness, the gift of a new day, a new month, a new year, and for all the possibilities of that. And so, Lord, we ask that you would give us great understanding and wisdom to the leaders here to make right decisions as we look forward to the future that you would have for this city. And Lord, we pray for those who maybe even right now are struggling because of maybe even weather and things that would just be kind of hardships on them, that you would watch over them. And so we thank you in advance for the things that you would have for this city to be and to do in the days ahead. And we thank you especially for the gift of your Son, Jesus. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll continue our meeting with our consent agenda. Council, any changes to the consent agenda or motions?
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second, Anderson.
Very good. Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to approve our consent agenda, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, I'd just like to pull 3 items from the consent calendar. The first item would be the water reclamation, the modeling update, $39,937. And then secondly, from the urban management, the community arts and culture programming agreement for $31,000. And then the last one, economic development, downtown market analysis and strategies for $30,000.
Very good. Councilor Staggers is asked to have 3 items pulled from the consent agenda, which we'll certainly do, and discuss those later. Any others, Councilor? Very good. We've got a motion to approve the remaining items, and it was seconded. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to our regular agenda. Council, any changes to that?
Move to approve.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve our regular agenda, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. If there is no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 7-0. Thank you. Before we go to Councilor Staggers' items, this is an opportunity for public input. Again, we want to thank you for being here tonight. If there's anyone who wants to address the council on any topic at all, come on forward, just introduce yourself to the people of our town, and all we'd ask is that you just keep it to 5 minutes or less. Would anybody want to engage the council? Well, very good. We thank you for being here anyway. So now let's move on to Councilor Staggers had 3 items that he wanted to pull. Tamara, would you want to read the first one, please?
Yes. Under item 1 for contracts, water reclamation, dollar amount $39,937.
Councilor?
Yes. Chad, I guess, is going to be saying something about the contract there.
Good evening, Chad Heavey with the Engineering Division of Public Works. Do you have any specific questions, or would you like an overview?
I think I know what this is, but I'm not quite sure. This is another computer program to figure out the usage of our sewage going through the lines and things like that. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Probably 5 to 10 times a year, we have to go into this model to look at our capacity of our system. A new business or industry wants to go into a certain part of the city. We model our collection system to make sure we have the sanitary sewer capacity to do that. Another example is when we all did all the upsizing of the Central Main and the Sioux River South sewer along the Big Sioux River. We modeled the system. That told us that we needed to not only replace the system, but also increase the size. And so it's a very technical software that we probably ask our consultant to run maybe 4 to 6, maybe 7, 8 times a year. It's such a specialty that if you don't run this model or are working in this model every day, you're not efficient. And we certainly do not, in my opinion, use it enough to have the software at our desktop and have one of our people operating it and running it.
Okay, and HDR, is that in Bismarck?
No, they just celebrated their 20th anniversary in Sioux Falls. They're a worldwide firm, but their local office has about maybe 40 people here. So.
Okay. I guess that's all I had to ask.
Thank you.
The next item is Urban Management, Community Arts and Culture Programming Agreement for Services for $31,000.
I'm Mike Cooper with Planning and Building Services. For a number of years, the city has been supporting the Sioux Falls Arts Council. And in the Planning and Building Services budget, there's a line item for $31,000, which is similar to what we've funded in previous years. And this is used to support the Sioux Falls Arts Council. And what we've been doing recently is actually putting an agreement together that specifies how that $31,000 will be utilized. This agreement is very similar to the one that we did last year. The Arts Council is the umbrella organization for a lot of the community nonprofits. And in the work program that's identified for this year, we'll be developing and implementing the Community Arts and Cultural Plan, updating and maintaining a community arts and cultural database and calendar of events, using Sioux Falls Arts Council to help publicize call for art invitations and helping with RFPs. We also work with the Visual Arts Commission on that particular work program, assisting various city commission board project programs with implementing marketing and engagement strategies, development and promotion of city neighborhood artworks and cultural events. They do a lot of work with us in neighborhoods such as last year, the Whittier Neighborhood Mural Project. Establish and maintaining a communication network with all the different nonprofits throughout the community, and then working on the annual Mayor Awards for the arts. So the $31,000 is really specifically for these tasks that we fund each year.
What percentage of the arts budget is provided for this $31,000? What percent is that of the
I don't have
budget?
that in front of me tonight, but it's a pretty small percentage of their overall operating budget.
Okay.
Again, we didn't want to just say, here's $31,000, use it for rent or for utilities. Mm-hmm. This is for very specific purposes that will help benefit the community of Sioux Falls. One of the other reasons that we support the Arts Council is there was an analysis done a couple of years ago that I think was presented to the City Council about the impact within the community of arts and nonprofits, and it's a multi-million-dollar impact that we have in the community through arts and cultural activities. So this is one way that we can help encourage that in the future.
And this $31,000, is that the same as last year?
Yes, that's the same. It has not gone up for some time.
Has there been any thought about reducing it?
No, there has not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
The third and last item is Economic Development, Downtown Market Analysis and Strategies Agreement for Services, $30,000.
Good evening, Darren Smith, Director of Community Development. Councilor Staggers, would you like me to follow suit with an overview or just go to questions?
Well, I guess maybe I can just ask you some questions, and maybe some other councilors would too. The $30,000, I guess when I see the $30,000, I keep thinking of the I think it's about $150,000. We subsidize the downtown Sioux Falls.
That's the contract for service, the annual contract for service we have with downtown Sioux Falls.
150 there, and then
Correct.
we also have the bid tax that they get. And so I'm thinking, why are we giving them another $30,000 when we've already given them so much money already?
Yep. Well, these dollars are not going to them. In fact, the Downtown Sioux Falls organization is assisting in paying for this contract. So this is an agreement for services to do a market analysis and develop strategies for future downtown planning and development. It's really being undertaken first and foremost to support the 2025 downtown plan that we are in the initial stages of developing and will continue throughout 2014. But very candidly, the impact and benefit of this analysis is much more far-reaching than just the 2025 downtown plan, and I can touch on a couple of what we feel are the benefits.
Okay, if you could.
Just briefly, it'll help us set reasonable and realistic expectations for the 2025 downtown plan and what we can expect downtown to look like in the coming years. It can be a tool that existing and new businesses can use to determine how they may want to invest in downtown. It can help us recruit new businesses to downtown in underserved industries. It will focus on downtown, but it will also provide a good overview and inventory of the diversity of our economy community-wide. In projecting where development will go in downtown, and that's part of what this analysis will do, and what type of development, it will assist us with future parking and other infrastructure needs in downtown. And lastly, this group was chosen as a part of a competitive RFP process. We had several proposals. This group was the unanimous choice of that committee. They have collectively, the team that will serve us has more than 50 years experience in more than 150 cities across the United States doing just this type of downtown market analysis and future planning and development strategies.
Thank you very much.
Councilor, thank you. Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Darren, can't let you go yet.
Yeah.
With this downtown strategy, your answer every time was downtown. What's the scope of the downtown? What's going to be the boundaries of the downtown area study that we're going to do?
The downtown area that will be studied initially will be those boundaries that we provided them, and those are the current boundaries that we've had for a few years downtown. But we have also told them that we want this analysis to be to truly come from them. If they feel the boundaries for whatever reason need to expand, that is something that we want to listen to and consider. So, they'll really be doing an analysis and developing strategies for not only what downtown looks like, but what they're projecting downtown here to look like, what the market will support realistically, not only what types of development, but where it would be, and if it will, in fact, go beyond the boundaries that we have today.
If I may.
Please.
Will they also be working with the blue ribbon panel that was put together to look at the downtown? Will that all be?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This goes hand in hand with that process, and that's important to touch on. I don't know that we've really ever had a comprehensive market analysis done downtown like this. In the past, those downtown plans have largely been done by, in some cases, a relatively small group of citizens and mostly people downtown or who were vested in downtown somehow, along with staff. So in this case, we have many more staff involved, but more importantly, we already have more than 100 citizens involved in that advisory board you talk about, more than a dozen work groups and subcommittees, and we haven't even got to the public input sessions yet. So, and now this will add professional analysis to that mix.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Karski.
The document, this market analysis, public record, anybody be
Yes.
able to look at it to see what's needed? If I'm interested in starting a certain type of business downtown, and
Yes.
this will probably give me an idea.
Absolutely, and that's one of those things that I touched on earlier. I think you put it better than I did, but it will also not only benefit us and the 2025 plan, but any business really that's looking at downtown Sioux Falls, whether we're aware of their interest or not, is something they'll be able to look at. We studied very carefully not only what we felt was an impressive proposal from this group, they're based in Colorado, But we looked at their work product in several cities that we feel are similar to Sioux Falls in many ways in the upper Midwest. Greeley, Colorado, Grand Junction, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Rochester, Minnesota, Lincoln, Nebraska, Decatur, Illinois. They have a very, very good work product in the opinion of our group that selected them.
Well, very good discussion, Council. Would anybody want to make a motion to approve these items?
So moved, Erpenbach.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Breck had made that motion. Councilor Karski has seconded it. Is there any additional discussion, Councilor Stangers?
Yeah, I was wondering, could we vote on these separately?
I would withdraw my motion then and make those, do a substitute motion to do the, to approve the first item that was removed from the.
Councilor Karski, you okay with that?
Reclamation piece.
Very good. We now have we're now on the first item.
That's water reclamation modeling update.
The water reclamation modeling update. Councilor Stangers, are you okay with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Council?
Then I would make a motion to approve the urban management, community arts, and culture programming agreement for services.
Second, Karski.
There's been a motion to approve item number 2. If there's no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
That has passed 6-1. Item 3.
Motion to approve the economic development piece, downtown market analysis and strategies agreement for services.
Second, Karski.
There's been a motion to approve item number 3, and it was seconded as well. If there's no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
That has passed 6-1. Very good. Now going to move on to item number 22.
Item number 22 is a review of the security management plan for the 2014 package liquor license renewal for Maketh Gak Sudanese General Store to be operated at 623 West 11th Street, which was approved on December 17, 2013. Item 23 is a new 2014 retail liquor license, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals for Sand Trap Incorporated, business name to be determined, 5213 West 12th Street, with conditional use permit 2013-11-6 being approved on December 4, 2013. Item 24 is a new 2014 retail wine license for Top Shelf Entertainment, wine and canvas to be operated at 5031 South Louise Avenue, with the special use permit 2013-11-10 being approved on December 4, 2013, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 25 is a new 2013-14 retail malt beverage license for Top Shelf Entertainment, wine and canvas to be operated at 5031 South Louise Avenue, with the special use permit 2013-11-10 being approved on December 4, 2013, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 26 is a special one-day liquor license for the Home Builders Association of the Sioux Empire to be operated at 6904 South Lindcrest Place for a membership meeting on January 23, 2014. Item 27 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Senior Citizens Incorporated to be operated at Active Generations, 2300 West 46th Street for the Gourmet Guys fundraiser on April 6, 2014.
Jamie, welcome.
Good evening, Jamie Palmer with licensing. Item 22 is on here for you to review the security management plan for the gentleman that was unable to attend December 17th. And I know the representative's here if you'd like him to come forward now.
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Yes.
Would AA come forward?
Welcome. Would you first just introduce yourself to the people of our town?
Okay. My name is Ayegor Aye. So I work for a Sudanese General Store as a manager there, and the owner of the store is not here now. He's out of the country for a while, so I'm the one in charge right now. So I missed the 17th of December, so I didn't get the letter for some reasons. That's why they scheduled me for tonight to come and do the same thing as some people did before.
Very good. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for being here, and certainly need you to understand the importance of being here in front of the council. What we'd like you to do is to just explain to the council and the people of Sioux Falls What do you do at the Sudanese General Store to ensure that you don't serve to minors?
Actually, that's the good question. Thank you. I'm always looking for the ID closely. Whatever, I'm not going to assume that this is 21 years old. At least I see identification that exactly is what I did is the correct things. Second to it, so if I'm not sure, I also have to subtract the date and the month of that, make sure that it's 21. So I'm always advise those who work with me that, want to make sure that, everything is incorrect at the order and regulation of the city of Sioux Falls. And we appreciate that we've been there for 4 years as a business partners. And I'm the one who is in charge right now. And 100% I want to make sure that our minors are not buying liquor while they are under 21. Thank you.
Who, the person who sold the alcohol to the minor, what happened with that employee?
Actually, that was me. Actually, thank you. I wasn't closely look for the ID, but I look at it. But it was 1994, but I look at it as 1984. That was a mistaken, and I identified that I didn't see the ID closely, and I wasn't attend to sell the liquor to the minor or whatever beer. So I do see the ID, but I didn't see it closely. So the officer come in and show me his ID, and then he knows that I saw the ID, but I didn't see it closely. That's what happened.
One of the questions that the council always asks, and I think it's very appropriate, is did you have anything happen to you in terms of a reprimand or anything like that from the Sudanese General Store? In some cases, what happens is that actually employees are fired or they have other reprimands that happen. Did anything happen to you?
Nothing happened to me, so
okay.
I'm still working for Sudanese General Store for now.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good, very good. Council, I'm going to now turn it over to you. Yes, Councilor Karski?
Just curious, are you responsible for training the employees so that do they know what to look for on the ID, the difference between the under 21 ID and the...
Actually, yes, I am. You always look for the, when it's minors, there's a red spot there that say under 21. So they have to look for that actually.
How many employees have you trained, or how many do you have working for you?
So I got me and 2 other people.
Okay.
Well, Council, thank you very much. I just want to reiterate, I know you weren't here at the last meeting, but the Council, they take this incredibly seriously. Selling alcohol to minors in this town is just not tolerated, and if you do, you will have to face not only the Council, but the people of this town. You were really close in terms of losing your license for at least, or losing the ability to sell for at least a week, if not more. So again, we need you to take this seriously. We need you to truly pay attention and have your other employees pay attention as well. But at the same time, we do thank you for doing business in our town, and we thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Jamie, any other comments?
I'll just briefly give a few details. Item 21 is a new business that hasn't begun their building yet, but they're requesting a new retail liquor license at that location. Item 24 and 25 are retail wine and retail malt for a new business called Wine and Canvas, and they're going to be offering artists or teaching art, painting, drawings, and they want to be able to offer their clients beer and wine. So, and 26 and 27 are 2 special 1 days.
Jamie, thank you. Council, any motions?
Move to approve, Karski.
Second, Rolfing.
Councilor Karski's made a motion to approve these items, seconded by Councilor Rolfing. There is no further discussion. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 28.
Item 28 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 12th Street and North Ellis Road from the AG Agricultural District to the C4 Planned Commercial and RA1 Multifamily Residential District, petition number 2013-10-9, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Good evening again. I'm Mike Cooper with Planning and Building Services. We have a number of second readings tonight that were considered at the last regular City Planning Commission meeting. Item 28 is a petition submitted by Steve Van Buskirk with Van Buskirk Companies. This is in the northwest corner of Ellis Road and West 12th Street. As we've seen last year, this new development, the Cherry Lake Reserve, was approved. We annexed the property. We approved the single-family residential portion. And now Steve is coming in for approval of the multi-use portion that will include office, commercial, and multifamily. This particular portion is about 22 acres. Approximately 16 acres of the property will be used for commercial development, and just under 6 acres will be for multifamily residential. This is being recommended for approval, and this is part of the overall concept plan that we looked at originally as part of the Cherry Lake Reserve development. So this will be that mixed-use development that will provide services to the people living around the lake. It will be both access from walking, from trails, as well as from the roadway, and will have its own parking system, but it will be a really nice addition to providing services for this pedestrian-oriented neighborhood.
Michael, thank you. This is a second reading, folks, so you do have the opportunity to engage the council on this if you're interested. Anybody interested? Very good. Council, I'm going to leave it in your hands.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Karski.
Councilor Rolfing has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Karski. Any questions or comments? Very good. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 29.
Item 29 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 3216 South O'Gorman Drive from the RD Residential District to the O Office District, petition number 2013-1101, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a petition submitted by Dennis Cryer. This is a vacant lot that's north of 41st Street on the east side of O'Gorman Drive and the east side of O'Gorman Drive, and it's proposed to be an insurance office that will be developed on this particular site. And it's about 2.23 acres in size, so it'll be a fairly small development. It will have its own off-street parking, and we have a sketch plan up on the screen of what this potentially would look like.
Another second reading, folks. Anybody interested in engaging the council? Council?
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Councilor Karski.
Mike, can you bring up that map of the setback one more time? The last one that was up.
Which one did you want?
Next one, I believe. The last, no. There was one that showed a schematic of the
Yeah, right there. It
parking.
shows a 25-foot setback from O'Gorman Drive.
Is that different from the rest of the neighborhood?
No, that would be similar to the residential setback.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not,
Yep. Typically, office is the same as a residential setbacks for that front yard.
thank you.
Councilor, good job. Councilor Rolfing.
Mike, now I lost my train of thought. I know, lost it.
That's okay. We've got time.
We can
That'll
Councilor,
happen every once in a while.
any other questions?
Oh, I know.
Yes, Councilor Rolfing, go
Thank
right
you.
ahead.
I knew it would come. We did
Happens
do
to me all the time.
the mailing out of the mail. Was there any negative impact or feedback from the neighbors?
No public comments.
Thank you.
Very good. There has been a motion, it has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 30.
Item 30 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 6 Mile Road and East 10th Street from the AG Agricultural District to the RS2 Residential District, petition number 2013-1105, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is another petition from Van Busker Companies, and this is to allow an expansion of the development known as Willow Ridge. This would be the second addition to that area. This particular property is just over 48 acres in size, and it's proposed to be developed into approximately 64 single-family lots. This is in the Brandon Valley School District and is part of our Sioux Falls East Side growth area.
Michael, thank you. Second reading, anybody interested in engaging the council? Council?
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Aguilar.
Councilor Anderson Jr. has made a motion to approve item 30, seconded by Councilor Aguilar. There is no further discussion. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing? Staggers?
Yes.
And that has passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 31.
Item 31 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northeast corner of East 41st Street and South Sycamore Avenue from sub-area C and D of Manifold Acres PD District to the RA1 Residential District, petition number 2013-1111, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a petition submitted by Ronning Companies. The property is just under 5 acres in size. It's located just east of the existing Casey's convenience store at the corner of Sycamore and 41st Street. And we have twin home development to the north and to the east. The property is currently zoned both commercial. The majority of it to the west is zoned commercial and RD. And this would make it all for future multifamily residential development. The concept plan that we can put up there shows that there would be 2 3-story buildings to the west side. There would be 38 units per building. And then on the east side, adjacent to the twin homes, would be a single 2-story building with 10 units, as well as detached garages. At the Planning Commission meeting, the neighborhood comments that we heard included questions about stormwater drainage. And as we've said many times at these public hearings, all these projects will go through engineering review and approval with a storm drainage plan prior to any building permits. There was a question about building height. Under the current commercial zoning, there's a 45-foot maximum height allowed. And so this would be the same building height as what's under the current zoning. And then on the east side, again, the 2-story building would fit the current 35-foot height limit that's on the property. And then there was also a question about access. The proposed access that's being shown would include a shared driveway that currently exists on the east side of Casey's, along with a second access on 41st Street. There's no access shown being proposed to the north or to the east that would impact the existing residential neighborhood. So that was another question that was brought up. I know the applicant has been talking further with representatives of the neighborhood about this proposed development, but since the night of the Planning Commission, we have not heard any more public comment or questions regarding this proposed zoning change.
Thank you, Mike. Second reading, folks. Anybody want to talk to the council about this? Welcome. Please just come forward, sir. Good to have you. If you could just introduce yourself to the people of our town.
My name is Roger Cool. My address is 3206 South Lupine Place, Sioux Falls, and I am representing the Pampas Lupine Foxglove Homeowners Association. The association members live directly north and east of the proposed development. We have some concerns about the proposed development and have been talking with Ronning Company regarding them. The association greatly appreciates Ronning Company listening to our concerns and agreeing to put a fence along the entire north and east boundaries of the property. One of the remaining concerns relates to drainage, as has been mentioned. Because of the slope of the property, there already exists a great drainage concern for present residents, some of which have had sub pumps operating continuously and flooding basements over various seasons of the year. As such, the residents are concerned that with the development of an apartment complex, this might add to their concerns. Therefore, as the development moves forward, the association would like to be kept in communication loop with respect to the plans and decisions relating to the drainage of this property. That's it. Thank you.
Roger, I think that's very fair. And Mike, you certainly have explained to the group that Andy Berg or the Public Works team can certainly keep them up to date as well.
Yes. Yes.
Very good.
We will stay in contact with them.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Roger, thanks so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
I'm Chuck Point with Ronning Companies, and I'm just here to answer any questions you have. If you have a question of us, we're glad to answer it.
Chuck, thank you very much for being here as well. Council?
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to approve this item, seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. Yes, Councilor Anderson Jr.
Question for Mike.
Michael?
Mike, after we approve this, what's the next steps for this project?
The next steps will be submitting more detailed development plans, which will then go through the city agency review, utilities, storm drainage, access, all those. That would be the next step. And then that's when we can get back together with the applicant as well as the neighborhood association.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. There has been a motion. It has been seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 7-0. Item 32.
Item 32 is a second reading. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property at North Reed Street under East 10th Street from the unzoned and RC Recreation Conservation District to the RC Recreation Conservation and C3 Central Business District. Petition number 2013-1113 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is listed as Alvin Schoenemann for this particular item. This property is just over 1.5 acres in size. It's located underneath the 10th Street Viaduct. If you recall, Council, last year you approved an exchange of land of property that was along the west side of the former Schoenemann's lumber that's now being developed as part of our greenway system. And in exchange for that greenway land, this was property that the city had that really did not have any specified purpose, and it's being utilized for the development of a parking lot. After we did the land exchange and the parking lot has now been installed, we just want to clean up the zoning so that it's all under one classification. And so this is more of an administrative, it's not really administrative, but it's more of a housekeeping item. And the C3 is the most appropriate zoning district that will, it is within the downtown area. It's next to the 8th and Railroad, and so we believe that this is a more appropriate zoning district for the existing parking lot use.
Thank you, Mike. Second reading, so we are willing to take public input here. Anybody here would like to speak on this item?
Can I ask where the mayor is?
Okay.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Erpenbach.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
if I might just ask
Erpenbach.
one quick question. It will all be parking lot, all of that space, even though part of it says it'll be RC? Some of it's C3 and some of it's RC. It'll all be parking lot, or?
Yeah, if you look on the exhibit up there, you can see the RC portion is actually the bike trail that extends off Reed Street.
Okay.
And then the C3 portion is where the access and the parking spots are located.
That little strip just was throwing me. Thank you. That's what I
Yes,
needed. Thank
it is a
you.
little confusing. The access to it will be through an easement of the 8th and Railroad parking lot.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That item is passed 7-0. Item number 33.
Item 33 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property at 85th Street between Tallgrass Avenue and Louise Avenue from the AG Agricultural District to the RS2, RD, RA1 Residential and O Office District, petition number 2013-1114, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a petition submitted by Clint Ackerman This property is approximately 80 acres in size. The City Council has previously approved the annexation of this area. It is within our identified growth area as far as providing utility services. Mr. Ackerman has put together a proposed land use plan that will divide this up into approximately 42 of the 80 acres will be identified as RS2, which would be single family or twin homes. Approximately 17 acres would be RD, which could also be single family, twin home, or up to fourplexes. The RA1 is just over 11 acres, which would be the multifamily. And then the O office is approximately 10 acres. And again, this is the zoning districts that we're currently using with our 1983 zoning ordinance. And you can see a concept plan again that has been put together. In the future, there will also be a preliminary development plan or subdivision plan that will come forward for City Council approval.
Any input or comments from the public? Council, any questions for Mr. Cooper?
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second, Erpenbach.
Motion and a second. I do have a question, Mike, on that map, if you don't mind bringing that back up. What would the agricultural area eventually turn into, the remaining ag? What?
Yeah, that will be, that's still being looked at, but that will also be a combination of probably office, commercial, and residential, higher density residential. Okay. We're getting closer to Tallgrass Avenue on the west side, and then we're not very far from Interstate 29, so we'll see that transition of higher density development as we go further to the west.
Thank you. Other comments? A roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
And that item is passed 7-0. And our next item, item 34.
Item 34 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northwest corner of East 14th Street and South 2nd Avenue from the C2 General Commercial District to C3 Central Business District, petition number 2013-1115, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is another application submitted by Clint Ackerman. This is just over 1/2 acre in size. It's on the northwest corner of 14th and 2nd Avenue across from the downtown Sunshine Store. The proposal is to redevelop this area into a townhome development that would be owner occupied. And the concept that Mr. Ackerman has put together is still in the early design stages, but we have up on the screen a portion of what would be considered for the rezoning tonight. And there was a question at first reading about parking as well as the price range. Each living unit that's proposed to be built will have 2 off-street parking spaces provided underground parking or within the development itself. So each unit will have its own off-site, off-street 2 parking spaces. And the price range that Mr. Ackerman is looking at is in the range of the lower 200s up to 600,000. Mr. Ackerman is here tonight if you have any more specific questions. But the main purpose of this rezoning is so that we can allow residential development. Under the current C2 zoning, residential development is not allowed. The C3 is part of our central business district that does allow multifamily residential with a conditional use permit.
Anybody here from the public that would like to address this? Comments? Council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Councilor Anderson, did you have something?
I have questions on the size of this project on the property that we're discussing. How many units are we actually talking about putting on this 1/2 acre?
If we go back to the rezoning, I should have clarified that. This will include the whole east half of the block, but all that we're rezoning tonight is that southeast corner. But the sketch that you see up on the screen includes that east half of the block.
Yeah,
so that's a little deceiving, yep.
Yeah.
That's really high density if we got it all to fit on that corner.
That's sort of what I was thinking. Okay, that works out better. Thank you.
Other questions? Councilor Erpenbach?
Couple questions, Mike, if I could. Owner occupied, are we guaranteed that, or are people going to buy them and rent them out? We don't have any control over that kind of stuff, do we?
We don't, but if you want to ask the applicant, I'll have them come up here.
Yeah, do you mind?
Welcome. If you don't mind, your name, please.
Clint Ackerman, Signature Company, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. To answer your question, this is going to be a development of 28 units. In that unit mix, within that development, we'll have an association. And there's no way for me to make sure that they're all going to be owner-occupied. But within a guideline, an area, we will limit that to less than 25% of the units can be rental units. That's just something that we typically do not do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better, so thank you. Good.
Any other questions?
My other question is for Mike, if I could.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Just one of those really very basic questions. Why, it's housing now. Why can it not, why do we have to rezone it for them to put housing on it again?
Yeah, the housing that's there now was built in the early 1900s, and they're non-conforming uses under the current zoning.
So we changed the zoning, or someone at some point changed the zoning, because obviously sometime it was residential, because that's what's there.
Yep.
And so the zoning was purposely changed at some point so that it wouldn't be necessarily replaced with the exact same thing that's
Correct.
there.
The idea with the existing commercial zoning is that it would be someday something other than residential. But now with our demand for downtown housing, we believe that this is a really good land use for that area.
Then one more, if I might, Mr.
Please.
Chair. But then it also requires a conditional use permit, or am I not putting all this through together?
Yes, for housing units on ground floor, requires a conditional use.
Okay. I'm just real interested that, because my question was about affordability, at first reading. And so my question for you is, have you heard word one from anyone about this? In terms of from neighbors or advocates or anything like that?
I've heard from advocates for it because there is really a strong push for housing downtown.
Okay.
And we actually had talked with another proposer a couple of years ago about this same property, and that deal didn't get put together. But, as we heard earlier from Darren Smith, we are working on an update of our downtown development plan, and right now, downtown housing is a pretty hot commodity. Mm-hmm. So we think this will fit in with that area pretty well.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Mike, is there any request or thoughts of city assistance on this project?
There has been no request for that.
Okay, thank you.
Other than in our capital improvement budget, we are looking at making improvements to 2nd Avenue, but that's more of a maintenance. But we want to schedule it, if this project does go forward, to kind of tie it in with that.
2nd Avenue along that area
Yes,
could
all the way up to the
could use an
viaduct.
upgrade.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mike. We need a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That item is passed 7-0. Item 35, please.
Item 35 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 310 Southwestern Avenue from the RS2 Residential District to the C2 General Commercial District, petition number 2013-1116, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is a petition submitted by the Frying Pan Restaurant. This is the West 12th and Western Avenue location. There's an existing residence directly north of their existing parking lot, and they would like to expand their parking, not only to improve the customer service, but also to improve the access in and out of the parking lot. And we've been working with them on a plan that with this expansion, they would be modifying the parking lot, including the access off of 12th Street primarily to make it easier for their customers to get in and out of that store. And they would also be screening the parking lot expansion from the adjoining residential development.
Anybody here that would like to make comments or address the council on this item? Councilor Jameson?
Mike, are you, when you say modifying the access points to that, was that X there at the bottom on 12th, were you talking about closing that?
No, we're making it more of a right-in, right-out.
Only a right-in or a right-out?
Yep.
So there'll still be the 3 access points?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Rolfing.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion? May you roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing? Staggers?
Yes.
This item is passed 7-0. Item 36.
Item 36 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at east of Highway 11 and south of East 26th Street from the AG Agricultural District to the RS2 Residential District. Petition number 2013-1117 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant for this item is Van Busker Companies, and this is to allow the expansion of their existing Copper Creek addition out on East 26th Street and Highway 11. This particular land is area is just under 37 acres. This will be on the south side of the existing development, and they're proposing to subdivide this property into approximately 102 single-family lots. We will also have item 42 on the council agenda tonight that will identify the subdivision plan with the street and utility improvements for this item.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments from the public? Any input? Council?
Move to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That item is passed 7-0. Item 37, please.
Item 37 is a second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property north of 5760 East Red Oak Drive from the RS2 Residential and Dolly Farm Village Planned Development District to the RA1 Multifamily Residential District, petition number 2013-1120, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant is Tom Cleve. This is just under a 3-acre parcel. This is proposed to be a Red Oak Phase 2 apartments for senior living, and it will be approximately 49 units in size, similar to what's existing in this adjoining property. And we've also had no public comments on this one.
Anybody here like to address the council? Input from the council.
Move approval, Rolfing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion from Councilor Rolfing, second from Councilor Jameson. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Item number 38.
Item 38 is a resolution declaring the necessity to construct sidewalk on West 41st Street and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
Mr. Heavey, welcome.
Good evening, Chad Hebe with the Engineering Division. This resolution is associated with the 2014 construction project on 41st Street from Sertoma Avenue to the Ellis Road. As part of the project, sidewalk will be constructed on the north and south side of 41st Street. Tonight's resolution addresses 19 properties. 7 of the properties, which are shown in white on the north side and 1 on the south side, are in the city limits, were platted prior to January 1st of 2009, have direct access to 41st Street, and will be assessed for the sidewalk costs per ordinance 96.035. The remaining 12 properties, which are hatched and in orange, that are basically on the south side, on the southwest side, are not in the city limits. And their sidewalk assessment will become due when they are annexed into the city. Now, the 4 properties that are hatched in yellow are unplatted. At the time of platting, these properties will pay the arterial street platting fee, which includes the cost of the arterial street sidewalk. And the remaining properties that are not any color or not hatched are owned by the city of Sioux Falls, and those costs will be ours. The affected properties were notified of tonight's meeting by a letter, and we have met with all of them several times to talk about the entire construction project. This resolution is in accordance with state law and city ordinance.
Mr. Heavey, thank you. This is a resolution, and we do take time for public input. Anybody here would like to address the council on this? Questions from the council? Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, Chad, these are going to be all city-owned sidewalks paid for by private entities. So how much is the total cost for the private property owners for the sidewalks? Total cost?
Approximately $80,000.
$80,000?
That is our estimate, and it's a
for the private property owners, not including the city property, is that right?
Right, that is for, there's about 3,200 feet of property that's owned that'll be assessed.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Jameson.
Chad, I can't tell close enough on 41st Street, but there's going to be a median or a boulevard between the property owners and the sidewalk. I'm sorry, the sidewalk and the street. There'll be a boulevard there. These sidewalks aren't adjacent to the actual...
The majority of them aren't. The portions that are going to be next to the road, but there's also going to be a 6-foot wide bike path on the road. So the sidewalks won't be directly next to the traffic. There'll be pavement, but it'll be separated by a bike path. So some of it will be back a curb, but next to the curb then will be a 6 foot of, I'd say, a wide shoulder for bicycles, and then the road. So there will be some buffer. It won't be grass, but it'll be pavement.
And you say for the majority of it? You said majority of it will be that?
Yeah, and I know that's how it is on, I'll say, the south side and the west side, because we're also using that, I'll say, that bike path or that deceleration lane as a lane so people that live there, the single-family homeowners, can kind of get out of traffic to pull out or to pull into their driveways. And so that's how it'll be on that south half and the west half.
And just, if I could, during snow removal, will that snow get piled up onto the individual sidewalk, or will it get...
It may, but, that's...
City will still remove
we come back and remove that. Now, we may not get it, every piece of it removed, and we'd still do require the property owners to take care of any excess that we don't quite get.
All right, thank you.
Other questions from the council? Chad, if I could, a question. That's not going to be a parking lane. It's going to be designated for a bike path on that side?
Yeah, but it's serving two purposes. I mean, it also serves as a deceleration lane, but no parking. It's just a haven. They're going to make a right turn into their driveway. They can pull over, slow down then, and let traffic pass, almost as a deceleration lane to make a right turn into a business.
Okay. Councilor Erpenbach.
So I just need to rephrase Councilor Jameson's question. Are there any sections of that will have boulevards, or it will all be bike paths next to the
There
side?
are sections that will have boulevards.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Councilor Rolfing.
Second, Erpenbach.
I have a motion from Councilor Rolfing, a second from Councilor Erpenbach. Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, here's an example that we frequently have where we have the city having private citizens pay for their own property. In this particular case, it's a sidewalk. These sidewalks are not going to belong to the private property owners. They belong to the city, but the city is having private citizens pay $80,000. The city should be paying that, not private citizens.
Thank you, Councilor Staggers. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Karski.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
That item is passed by a vote of 6-1. Item number 39, please.
Item 39 is a resolution declaring the necessity to construct sanitary sewer on West 41st Street from South Sertoma Avenue to South Ellis Road and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This resolution is also associated with the West 41st Street project. As part of the project, we will install a sanitary sewer line that may provide sanitary sewer service to the 3 properties on the map shown in white. Following construction, a cost recovery will be filed and due if the property connects and uses the sanitary sewer line. If the property does not connect, the cost recovery will not be due. The affected properties were notified of tonight's hearing in writing and of the project during several project meetings, and this resolution is in accordance with State Law 948-15.
Thank you, Chad. Comments from the public? Questions from the council? Council Staggers.
Yeah, Chad, can you clarify when they have to connect?
Well, I'll give you an example. The property on the north and on the east in white is Cliff Avenue Greenhouse. And they currently are on a septic tank. Now, there is sanitary sewer available to them if they went north, but I don't know if that's going to be, first of all, if they can do it per the lay of the land, and B, I don't know if it'll be less expensive to go north all the way to their property, or to come out to the south and connect into this sewer line. So if they would go north and connect into that line, they don't have to pay for any of this line that we put in here. But if they do connect into it, they would pay their share. Same way with the property on the south. There is sewer in Grinnell. So if they would choose to sewer that parcel to go to the west to Grinnell and not connect to the line in 41st, they would not pay as well. But if things work out and it's more economical for them to go to 41st Street, then they will pay their fair share.
Okay. Do they have to do this or make a decision within 3 years or 5
No,
years?
no.
Can
This
you
is
clarify this. Yes.
When this item and the next item, when we talk about water, we are doing things such as installing these utilities so that they are there, so we don't have to come back, or they don't have to come back and tear up the road. So we're doing everything now. Like the property that's on the north, on the west side, is not platted; it's bare ground. So we'll stub out a service line to the property, but I mean, if that quarter of land on the south is vacant for the next 10 years, that line will sit there, and when they decide to develop it or whatever they want to do, and if they do connect into the line, they'll pay at that time.
I always thought we had some kind of mandatory requirement for them to connect.
Yes, they will. I mean, when that large property is annexed, and they are going to develop the property, they will have to connect to our system. So at some point, they will all have to connect. It just depends on then where they connect at.
If I may, Councilor Staggers?
Yes.
So are you saying, Chad, that if they're already annexed in, because Cliff Avenue Greenhouse is already annexed in and they're on a septic system, they don't have to connect if it's available. But if we do annex in, they have to connect?
Current law states that if there's a sewer within 200 feet of a property and it is feasible for them to connect in, then we give them a 5-year notice that they have to install the sewer. And so Cliff Avenue Greenhouse may already be in that 5-year period. I just can't comment specifically on that tonight. But they will, I mean, if sewer's not within 200 feet now, it will be after this year. They will have then a 5-year notice. But, you know, they may choose to do it right now, just if it's more economical to do it now. We're just trying to plan ahead so that we don't have to touch this road for many, many years to get a sewer line or a water line in.
If I could, Chad, one more question. How far west would this be able to carry our sewer out from the T. Ellis Road?
Well, there is, you know, that area that's Prairie Meadows that will be talked about again at a land use committee on January 21st. That is the Prairie Meadows Sanitary Sewer District. So there is a sewer line that runs from Grinnell over to Ellis Road. That is part of the sewer district. And so all that out there is existing, is sewered. I mean, the district then sends their wastewater to us. And so, but currently, if you're talking about our future system, we at some point are going to have a line that'll come from the north and come all the way around west of Ellis Road behind the wellness center out there. But that'll be the next basins we have to open up.
Thank you. Council, a motion?
Move to approve, Erpenbach.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Erpenbach's made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That item is passed by a vote of 7-0. Number 40, please.
Item 40 is a resolution declaring the necessity to construct water main on West 41st Street from South Sartoma Avenue to South Ellis Road and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
All right, this is the same project. And as part of the project, we'll be installing a large diameter, 24-inch transmission line, but also then we will be installing an 8-inch line that'll serve more as a service line for the 13 properties in white. After construction, a cost recovery will be filed and due when the property is annexed and connects and uses that water line. Again, the owners were notified of tonight's hearing in writing, and the project has been discussed with them during our individual project meetings. And this resolution is also in accordance with State Law 948-15, and this is the same issue as the sewer. We are putting this 8-inch water line in between Ellis and Grinnell, and when the properties on the south side, one already is annexed, but the rest of them are annexed and required to connect to the city system, that is when they for their share of this water distribution line.
Thank you, Chad. Any input from the public, please? Council?
Move to approve.
Second, Erpenbach.
We have a motion by Councilor Jamison, a second by Councilor Erpenbach. I just, quick comment, Chad, this is a huge project, and I know it doesn't get a whole lot more exciting than water and sewer and sidewalks, and I appreciate your time, but this is just going to be a huge project for the west end of town. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and concerned about this street and safety, so I'm glad to see that it's moving forward. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That item is passed by a vote of 7-0. Item 41, please.
Item 41 is a resolution declaring the necessity to construct sidewalk on East 10th Street and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
All right. Every year we look at different areas of our arterial street system in the city, and based on phone calls we get, complaints we get, we try to target these arterial streets where there is no sidewalk, and then a barrier exists for people that are disabled. And this is one of those items tonight. This resolution is associated with the installation of sidewalk on the north side and south side of East 10th Street between Bonson Avenue and Sycamore Avenue. Annually, we receive several complaints about the lack of sidewalk in this area. Now, the figure in front of you shows the locations of sidewalk between Cleveland on the west end and Foss on the east end. The black or dark lines indicate areas where there is sidewalk currently installed. The yellow line on the north side of 10th Street or Arrowhead Parkway, east of Sycamore, is an area that we've identified for a future sidewalk project. And then the red and blue lines are what we are talking about tonight. And they will be, that's what we're talking about tonight for the installation of the sidewalk. The blue lines indicate sidewalk to be installed by the property owner or installed under a city contract and assessed to the property. The red lines indicate sidewalk that'll be installed with a city contract and not assessed. And the first property that'll not be assessed is on the east end, and that is a city-owned drainage facility. So those costs will be paid for by the city and not assessed. The other segment is that piece that's halfway between on the north side. That is owned by the cemetery or is cemetery property, and in accordance with state law, cemeteries are not cannot be assessed local assessments for these types of improvements. This resolution does include 16 properties. If it is passed, we will notify the property owners they have until July 1st to install the sidewalk. Following that, we will let a city contract to install the sidewalks and then assess the properties. The affected properties were notified of tonight's hearing in writing, and we have had individual property meetings with almost all of the businesses out here. I think we might have missed one, but I think the majority of them we had individual meetings with. Again, this resolution is in accordance with state law and city ordinance. I will also comment that we were going to do this last year because our goal is once we get the intersection of 10th and Sycamore reconstructed, we would like then to have this continuous piece of sidewalk from Cleveland on both sides out to Sycamore. And so because of the project was delayed, we thus delayed this, but we did contact the business owners back in early 13 to talk about this. And I do know there's others here tonight that would like to address you, so.
Thank you, Chad. Now is the time where we will take public input on this item. Welcome, sir. Please come up to the mic and tell us your name.
Brian Eide. I represent Vernetti, the body shop on the south side of 10th Street, and then also 10th Street Auto Wash that's on the north side. My proposal would be to, because of the cemetery and what Chad was just talking about there, and also that long stretch that the city owns, that's a retention pond there, the proposal, in my view, would be to create a sidewalk on the south side only, and that's my proposal, and I can only speak for my businesses, so I can't, and the other businesses didn't show up, so I can't really speak for them, but that would be my proposal. And I think it would allow access for anybody and everybody in Sioux Falls. I'm not against the sidewalks, just we also see how much they get used or how many people actually walk along there. And I've talked to my managers there, and there's not a lot of people there. So.
Okay, thank you, sir. Chad, interesting question. Can you maybe address the council on why the sidewalk is needed on the north side when there are a very limited number of businesses? Is there some reason why we would be doing this?
I'll just say that sidewalk is required on both sides of all streets. And we, in fact, talked about installing it on one side or the other. We talked about the north side, first of all, because the city owns a lot of that land. And there isn't a lot of businesses on the north side. The problem is, though, if you installed it only on the north side, most people probably want to get to the south side, and there's nowhere to cross other than at Bonson or at Sycamore. But I mean, I have seen people using and walking, and others have told us that they walk. They come down Sycamore. They use the north side to get to wherever they're going, to Hy-Vee. So to be fair and consistent, our recommendation is that we would install it on both sides.
Okay. Any other input from the public?
Hi, my name's Phil Schmitz, and I'm the manager at George Boom Funeral Home, where we have a sidewalk already. So part of this diagram is wrong in that respect. There is sidewalk from Bonson all the way in front of the funeral home. And then the flour mill property is east of there, and there's about 9 feet of land between the parking and the street there. So if you put a 5-foot sidewalk in there, it is very close to the street. And then I also manage Hills Arrest Cemetery, so that whole next piece that's in red, and again, I talked to Jan at the city today to tell them that the diagram that they sent out is wrong, and so there would be actually more land that the city would have to put in front of the cemetery than what you see there. Anyway, there's some issues with the accuracy of this entirely. I did bring Pete Nelson, I think, may have emailed you folks, some of you folks, a letter, and I only have he carboned me on it too. He owns the Valvoline that's there, and Brian, who runs the auto wash too. They have one employee. I called down there because I do a lot of business at the auto wash because the funeral home is really close, and they have one employee that takes the bus there to work, and then he gets off in front of the Kmart, and then he runs across 10th Street. So that's his access to work every day, and they currently don't have any other employees that go there. You know, the wisdom, from the cemetery standpoint, we're not paying for it, but then we'd be responsible for maintaining it. And I did take a picture of the sidewalk, and I brought copies for you from just yesterday that the city's responsible for now. And in the 15 years plus since the highway was widened to 5 lanes there, the city has not once cleaned the sidewalk in front of the funeral home. Okay, I've tried and ruined equipment a number of times, so I don't do it anymore. It just, when it snows, it doesn't get cleaned. Okay, because I'm not going to wreck my equipment doing it. In front of the flour mill, in all of my years, I've only ever had one person walk to the funeral home to make a funeral arrangement, and they lived on Churchill. The flour mill people drive there to conduct business. If you're going to get your oil changed, you drive to the oil change place. You don't walk there. When I do see the occasional person walking on that side of the street, they walk far away from the highway. I walked it myself last year in nice weather, and the traffic is 35, but it's many times going 40 to 45 miles an hour. And I was talking to my staff and yesterday and today, because they knew I was coming here, and I said, you guys are in here a lot. Do you see many people walking on the sidewalk? And the answer is no, we don't, because it's scary out there because of the speed. And they'll actually cut down into our parking lot and walk through our parking lot. And then they'll get back up again when they're going to cross the street at Bonston or something like that. So I'm kind of with Brian. All of the Kmart and the food places and the new food places going across the street from us where the Mint Casino is, those are close to residential areas. People are going to use that side of the street. I think Pete, again, from the Valvoline, has a valid point when he says if there's supposed to be sidewalk, like Chad said, on every side of the street, Woodlawn Cemetery from 26th Street down to 33rd does not have sidewalk. Okay. And when that street was improved a few years ago, that would have been an opportune time to put sidewalk in there too. So clearly I'm opposed to it. I don't know if you have any other questions for me.
Thank you, sir. Your name, I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah, Phil Schmitz is my name.
Okay. Chad, if you don't mind, Mr. Smith had some concerns about existing sidewalk and the assessment. Can you address the council on how that would be handled?
I believe there's about, I think it's about 230.
They have 240 on one piece.
Yeah, there is some, there were some issues with the platting and how it was recorded. So that red line would probably extend to the east or the west another 230 or 40 feet. And really tonight's action is just to put people on notice that that this is coming. And so I would say that's how, so that's the first piece about the map not being accurate. And we would certainly, the assessment process will not happen until much later. And so that's when the actual assessment would get taken care of. And we'll have a lot of work to do with everybody out there of where exactly the sidewalk should be placed. Second of all, if the street department hasn't been clearing that, I would assume it's because there's nowhere to go into the east on the north side. And so if that's in, we will certainly have to make sure that's a priority.
Any other comments from the public? Mr. Cooper.
I'm not the public, but I'll just kind of weigh in on this one. Just from a general overview of the community, these are areas that we have a lot of challenges with as far as staff, because historically the development went in and there was never a push for sidewalk. The city engineer by ordinance for years, for decades, has had the discretion to require sidewalk or not require sidewalk. For those of you that have been around, you remember this is the old movie theater area. When Kmart went in, when Sunshine went in, it was all driving destination. And now Sioux Falls, like other cities, are becoming more pedestrian friendly. The push is to make our community more pedestrian friendly, not only in terms of the ADA requirements and access to the transit, but just in general, people want to walk more places. And that north side does have a walking path. It's been there for years. The people that live up on North Sycamore in those apartments, they walk to Hy-Vee to get groceries. So we always hear that the sidewalk doesn't get used much. Well, technically the sidewalk doesn't connect to anything right now. And we've always found that once the sidewalk goes in, it gets a lot of use. And the challenge that we have is that the property owners went in there without the requirement for sidewalk, and now we're saying not only do you have to pay to put it in, but you have to pay to maintain it. So that's the pushback that we get. But at some point, we're trying to create a more pedestrian-friendly Sioux Falls, and we're actually going to be working on a comprehensive analysis into 2014 of all the locations that don't have sidewalks and look at where those priorities should be. As Chad and his team have been working on over the years of trying to pick off some of these existing locations where we think sidewalks should be installed. So I'm just commenting on a general community-wide perspective that our goal is to make Sioux Falls more pedestrian-friendly, but there's a cost. There's a cost to the property owners, and that's part of the reason that you as the council has to decide on the policy that we're going to follow.
Thank you, Mike. Any other public comments? I'll go to the council. Council Aguilar.
A point of order, we should probably have a motion first. No? Okay.
Councilor Aguilar.
Resolution.
Can someone answer the question as to whether this area came up during the ADA study as far as needing the sidewalk?
I don't know for a fact that this was looked at in terms of the ADA. We looked at our transit stops. We looked at the downtown area. I don't know that this was particularly singled out, but so I can't answer a definite yes or no on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, this is all cost money. And Chad, we haven't heard any numbers on this yet. Can you give us some numbers on all this?
I will. If you give me a second, maybe you want to ask a question if it's not of me. But
Okay, we'll get back to you, Chad. Councilor Erpenbach.
It actually is of you, but I bet you can do it while you're looking. My question is regarding the map where the blue lines are. They go all down East 10th Street, and they even curve around and come on to 12th Street. And then it shows that Bonson Avenue from 10th to 12th or whatever has sidewalk on the west side, but not on the east side. And we don't have a blue line there, and I'm wondering why we aren't making that loop all the way around.
okay, first to your question.
He's good.
Our estimate's about 110,000.
Total for this whole thing?
No, for the accessible piece. So it doesn't include the red. Yeah, that's the amount that we estimate that the property owners will have to install.
What property owner will pay the most? Do you have any idea?
Well, according to my numbers, I believe it would be Pioneer Enterprises. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
But that's, if we subtract the 230, then they're probably not the high anymore. There's 4 different lots that are owned by one individual. There's about 600 feet there, so that would be the highest there.
And that would be how much then?
I'd say about 15 to 16,000, $25 a foot.
Oh, okay.
And Councilor Erpenbach's question.
Do you understand that? Just that section of Bonson, why are we not requiring that while we're in there?
That's just another area, like Phil mentioned, that does not have sidewalk, and that's another area that we have to keep an eye on. The reason, Bonson's a little bit different. It's the same thing, though. It's an older part of town. It's not as hard to cross Bonson there as it is 10th Street. Mm-hmm. And like Phil mentioned, there are definitely areas in the city of Sioux Falls that don't have sidewalk today. And a couple years ago, we put it on the west or the east side of Minnesota Avenue from 57th down to 69th, because on the west side there was, dozens of trees that were in the way. On 22nd Street, along where the VA hospital is, to get sidewalk in there, every tree, there's got to be dozens of trees would have to come out. that may never happen. So there are areas all over town that there are just, there may be physical issues, there may be elevation issues where just sidewalk cannot go in. But we take phone calls every week on areas that don't have it. We prioritize them at the end of the year, and we do every year go into, I'll call them residential areas or non-arterial streets and order in sidewalk.
Councilor Anderson Jr.
Chad, for the last few years at least, I know, sitting on the council, we have every year had projects like this. I can remember North 4th Avenue up by the Wells Fargo was one of them. I believe this council even approved. So, I mean, it's something we're trying to play catch up.
North Cliff Avenue, from basically north of I-90 down to Chambers Street, as we reconstructed all of that, we filled in all the different areas that did not have sidewalk.
We even changed some of our rules for developers to ensure that sidewalks would be completed when these residential developments were done. So I just see this as another part of that process. And this also is another thing as we talk about East 10th Street. We need to talk about a safety factor for citizens that are going to walk there. And also there's a gentleman I've seen more than once in a power wheelchair, and he's on 10th Street operating. And that I've seen a couple very close accidents because vehicles didn't see him until they just had a chance to stop. And it's a gentleman who comes in and talks to this council a lot. So this is one of the areas that I have watched for a few years now and believe that sidewalks are necessary over here, and I hope you'll support this.
Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, Chad, in talking about sidewalks, I've never heard of any surveys being done to see if we need sidewalks. Do we ever do surveys?
We haven't done surveys that are specifically talks about sidewalk. We just keep a list of when we get phone calls, either requesting sidewalk or inquiring why there isn't any sidewalk there. And we get calls all over, and we have to prioritize. We set aside money every year on the arterial streets. We've done it on Cliff, we've done it on East 10th, we've done it on Minnesota. That stretch east of here on the south side out to Foss, we did. As we've widened 57th Street out to the Ellis Road, we made sure we had sidewalks on both sides of that street.
If I could also mention, you mentioned with arterial streets that we have money that's part of that in building arterial street sidewalks, is that right? 10th is definitely an arterial street, so why aren't we paying for the sidewalk instead of having the private property owners pay for it?
In accordance with city ordinance, they are platted. They have access to 10th Street. According to ordinance, then we can assess them.
Or not. We don't have to. But also, too, I was intrigued by what Mike said about you have the option of deciding whether there's going to be sidewalk or no sidewalk. And when you take a look at 10th here, I mean, I've driven along 10th a lot like most everybody else has, and I don't see people walking along in this area at all. And if you're going to put a sidewalk there, I think it would be more reasonable to have it on one side than having it on both sides. Because we don't have, just don't see people at all.
In regards to what Mike said, most of the time we do not waive that requirement because that requirement is in city ordinance. We may defer the installation, but we never tell anybody that they do not have to put it in.
Councilor Erpenbach.
Chad, isn't it true that it's not just city ordinance that requires us to assess property owners for sidewalks? Isn't it also required by state law? I mean,
state law
if we're going to put in sidewalk, and we have to, according to state law, assess property owners for it.
It says the cost shall be assessed.
Shall.
Shall.
Means you're going to do it.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
But if you're not going to do it, you don't assess.
Thank you, Chad. I have a question, if I may take a turn here. I think more long-term planning, Mr. Cooper, if you don't mind. We talked about, it sounds like this is on the bus stop, or on the bus route.
Yes, there's a bus route along here.
It's on the bus route, on both sides? Drop-offs on both sides?
Yes.
And we don't have sidewalks. It seems kind of, on the planning side, a little short-sighted that we would, and not pointing finger at you, but that we wouldn't have sidewalks and we got a bus stop there.
Well, we don't actually have stops along the area where there's no sidewalk, but the pedestrian access would be along that route to get to a bus stop.
Okay. But it would seem to make sense if we have bus stops that we have sidewalks, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, thank you.
And I do stand corrected from my city engineer historical comments, so, yes, thanks, Chad. Yeah.
Any other questions from the council? A roll call vote, please.
I believe we need a motion.
I need a motion.
Move to approve, Erpenbach.
Second, Anderson.
We have a motion from Councilor Erpenbach, a second from Councilor Anderson Jr. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
That item is passed by a vote of 6-1. Item 42, please.
Item 42 is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Copper Creek Second Edition.
This is a application by Van Busker Companies. This ties in with the previous item that we considered tonight, which was item 36. This is to allow the expansion of the Copper Creek addition to the south. Again, this is about a 37-acre addition. The preliminary plan shows in general the street and lot layout. And it also gives us some preliminary engineering that shows utility extensions, water, sewer, storm drainage, grading, and those kind of things. So this is the first look at how the site can be developed and to make sure that it is going to be in compliance with our planning and engineering design requirements. If we can provide a different orientation, can we turn that? So the map that you're actually looking at, north, Jason is going to use his magic too. The access will be from the north. This lot layout shows you approximately the 102 single-family lots. So the access will come from the north through the existing Copper Creek addition that extends up to 26th Street. And the land around it is still agricultural to the south, west, and east. And it does meet all of our engineering requirements, and it is being recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. This is a resolution. We do take public input, public comments. Anybody like to address the council? I'll turn to the council then.
Move for approval, Anderson.
Second, Rolfing.
We have a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., a second by Councilor Rolfing. Any discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That has passed by a vote of 7-0. Item 43, please.
Item 43 is a resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards, those being Sioux Falls Housing and Redevelopment Commission, William Early and John Peckham, and Sioux Falls Regional Emergency Medical Services Authority, Chad Olson.
Council?
Move to approve.
Second, Erpenbach.
We have a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., a second by Councilor Erpenbach to approve. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson? Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Karski?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
That has passed by a vote of 7-0. Item 44.
Item 44 is a report of the January 2nd, 2014 Notice of Transfer of Appropriations within Major Organizational Units. No action needed.
No action needed. That's what I thought. Council, thank you for your patience with me tonight. I appreciate it. Any other business for the council?
Move to approve, or to adjourn.
Second.
I'll approve that.
We're approving to adjourn.
We're approving adjourning.
By Councilor Erpenbach, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.